The night was quiet. Too quiet for Adrian Blackwood's liking. The billionaire CEO, known for his ruthless business empire and untouchable presence, had just returned from a week-long overseas trip. His estate, a mansion sprawling over acres, usually buzzed with staff and activity. But the night of broken bar something felt off. He pushed open the heavy oak doors to his study and froze. There, on the floor near the fireplace, was Amano clutching his little daughter in his arms. They were both asleep, huddled beneath a thin blanket, as though the mansion's grand walls provided nothing more than shelter from the night. Adrian's chest tightened. Who was this man, and why was he in his home? The stranger's name was Daniel Hart. He wasn't a thief, nor a beggar. He was a single father, once an engineer, now reduced to working odd jobs just to keep food on the table for his little girl. He had been repairing the mansion's pipes earlier that day when the storm broke out. He tried to leave, but the gates were locked and his truck broke down outside. With no way to contact anyone, he stayed, holding his daughter close, praying no one would find them before morning. But now, the billionaire himself stood over them. Adrian's first instinct was anger. His jaw clenched, his voice sharp. "Who are you, and what are you doing in my house?" Daniel shot awake, instantly shielding Emma with his body. His eyes were tired, but full of pride. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice rough. "I wasn't trespassing. I was just trying to keep my daughter safe." There was no begging, no excuse, only raw honesty. And it startled Adrian more than he wanted to admit. The next morning, Adrian expected to send them away. He wasn't a man who entertained strangers, let alone ones who had fallen asleep on his expansive carpet. But when Emma stirred awake and offered him a shy smile holding out a crumpled drawing she had made while waiting for her dada, something inside him cracked. He hadn't seen a child's smile in years, not since his own childhood, which had been stolen by endless tutors and strict nannies while his parents chased fortunes overseas. For the first time in decades, Adrian let someone sit at his breakfast table who wasn't business-related. Danielle sat nervously, refusing to touch the food until Adrian insisted. Emma ate happily, giggling when Adrian's butler brought her extra strawberries. Days turned into weeks. Adrian discovered that Daniel, despite his worn-out clothes and struggling life, had a brilliant mind. The man who fixed leaking pipes could also sketch out designs for energy-efficient systems that Adrian's engineers had failed to perfect. "Why are you wasting your talent on odd jobs?" Adrian asked one evening. Danielle sighed, glancing at Emma playing nearby. "Because when my wife died, I promised Emma she'd never be alone. I couldn't keep up with my old job's hours. I chose being her father over everything else." That answer silenced Adrian. Here was a man who gave up success to protect a broken bar while Adrian had done the opposite his entire life. But not everything was easy. Some of Adrian's business partners frowned when he began inviting Daniel into board meetings. "He's a nobody," they sneered. "A single dad with no status." Adrian, the once cold CEO, surprised everyone by firing two of them on the spot. "If brilliance and heart make someone a nobody, then I'd rather fill this company with nobodies." Meanwhile, Daniel faced his own struggles. He doubted himself constantly. Was he good enough to stand beside billionaires? Could he raise Emma in a world so different from the one he knew? He nearly walked away, afraid Adrian was only pitying him. But one night, as he packed his bag, Emma whispered, "Dad, your broken bar, I like it here." "Mr. Blackwood smiles more when you're around." "I think he was lonely, just like us." Her words stopped him, and in that moment, Danielle realized this wasn't just about him. It was about Emma's future and maybe Adrian's too. Months later, the mansion that once echoed with silence was alive with laughter. Emma would run through the halls, Daniel worked side by side with Adrian, and for the first time in his life, the billionaire felt what family truly meant. The biggest change wasn't in his company, it was in his heart. Adrian discovered that wealth wasn't in stocks or luxury cars, but in the moments shared around a dinner table, or in the quiet peace of tucking a child into bed. One evening, Adrian stood by the same fireplace where he had first found them. Daniel was fixing Emma's toy while she dozed off. Adrian spoke quietly, more to himself than to anyone else. "I thought I had everything, but that night a broken bar when I found you here, I realized how empty my life really was." Daniel looked up, smiling softly. "Sometimes, Life doesn't give us what we want, it gives us what we need." Adrian nodded, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just a CEO. He was a man who had finally learned the true meaning of home. The message: you can have all the money in the world, but without love, sacrifice, and connection, you have nothing. Sometimes, the people we least expect, like a struggling single dad and his little girl, can remind us what life is really about.